Hi guys, Jimmy here. Welcome back to my channel. So it's day 3 of my 31 days of Halloween and what these films or franchises mean to me. So today we're going to be talking about George A. Romero's what was a trilogy: Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead, and then it expanded after that. You've got Land of the Dead, and you've got Diary of the Dead, and so forth like that after that. But I remember watching this film on my own one afternoon on VHS that I got when I lived in Epsom. I went to the Woolworths there, and it was £9.99. It was called Cinema Classics or something like that. And this was the first in the series I watched. I didn't watch them in order. I didn't realize back then that it was part of a trilogy when I first brought it, because I didn't see any of them up until that point. Now, behind me here, I've got Dawn of the Dead and Land of the Dead. Dawn of the Dead was one of the first ones that I realized when you started to get limited editions come out, how many different cuts of a film you could have. So I've got, if this doesn't collapse on me, I've got this Dawn of the Dead edition, which is the DVD edition, and it's got the various cuts of the film. Now, obviously, you've got in here Argento cut, you've got the European cut, the US theatrical cut, and then you've got another one as well. And that was the first time that I realized it was like 3 or 4 different cuts of the exact same film. And what an edition that was when it first came out. And then obviously we've got the second sight one, which was just fantastic. And I've got another one, the ultimate edition of it. And then I've got the Blu-ray letterbox edition with the reversible sleeves on there. But I'm not going to talk about that one today. If I can just get that up there without collapsing. I'm not going to talk about Dawn of the Dead today. I'm not going to talk about Night of the Living Dead either. I'm going to talk about the first one in the series I watched, and that was Day of the Dead. Yes, got this, as I said, on VHS for £9.99. Lucky that I got it because I wasn't 18 at the time, and stores were getting quite strict about selling 18 or 15s to the wrong age groups and whatnot, but I managed to bag it. And I don't have the VHS anymore, which is a bit of a shame, but I got this Blu-ray edition a number of years later. I think I had an Arrow edition when it was on DVD as well, which I gave away. But when I first saw this film, I went down to Woolworths in the morning, I think it was, bagged one, went back home. I was the only one at home, sat down, closed the curtains and put this VHS on and watched this film. And I was meant to be going out that evening, and I watched the film and I was like, oh my God, that is madness. That is madness. You know, the scene in the medical center of the silo where the zombie turns around and then half his intestines just pour out onto the floor. And, you know, I was just sitting there thinking, oh my God, what is going on here? What is going on here? And that wasn't the worst part. It was, you know, her boyfriend, I think it is, who gets bitten and then he knows he's dying. And near the end, he then lets the zombies in. So you've got the hydraulic lift where, I can't remember if it's where the ramp, that's it, the ramp goes up to the helicopter, and he knows that he's done for, and he basically goes on there willingly, pushes the button, opens the silo doors, and then the platform moves up, and obviously underground all the zombies are shooting, they're trying to get after the main characters, and then he just gets ripped apart, he just gets absolutely torn apart. I remember watching that scene, and then I was meant to go out afterwards, and I went outside of my house, and I think this was the first time it happened to me, actually. It did happen to me a couple of times after that, and there's another film down here where I will talk about that. But I remember going out, and I just thought to myself, I need about 5 minutes just to sort myself out, because it was just that last scene. I found that last, not traumatic, I just found it like mad that he would just go up there, but you know, he didn't want to get eaten alive down there, so that's why he went up there. But that was Day of the Dead, and that was the first in the trilogy that I watched. I think after this I watched Dawn of the Dead, and then I watched Night of the Living Dead. But I've got a feeling that I did see Night of the Living Dead many years before that, but I didn't realize that it was all linked up to it. I didn't think, I'll be honest with you, back then, as I said, there was no internet, there's nothing like that. The group of friends I had weren't really into movies, more into sports and whatnot. So I was, you know, I was finding my feet in the movie gamers, so to speak. But yeah, so I watched that film on my own in the afternoon. I was meant to go out, went out into the bright lights of Epsom, and I was just like, I need 5 minutes. I need 5 minutes on my own here just to sort myself out. And I was fine after that, but it was just the thought that he went up in that lift, out of all the craziness in that film, you know, all the crazy, that guy's laughing, you know, the soldier who laughs really with a high-pitched laugh, and then he gets done by a zombie as well. All that was fine. It was just the fact that he opened the silo doors and willingly went up, and that was the part that got me. It really did. So that was what this film means to me, part 3. And that was it. So I'll be back again tomorrow with part 4. I hope you're enjoying it. Any comments or questions, leave them in the comments below and I'll answer them back to you. But yeah, and I really wish I had the VHS tape of it. And the worst thing is, when I moved house recently, I think I don't know if I gave it away or I threw it away because I just had so many. I got a funny feeling. I went down to the charity shop and I just said, look, just take all of this. And they were inside there. I'm pretty sure they were inside there, which is just a bit annoying. But anyway, that was it for today, guys. I will see you tomorrow. Take care, look after yourselves, and I'll speak to you real soon.